Okay, hi everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Decoding Your Superpowers with
Hello,
Teresa Lisum, and
Linda Karchner.
we're so glad you're here. We jump on every Tuesday. We've been doing this quite a few months now
Yeah.
and try to really show the world why we love the strengths concept so much, or as I like to refer to them as our superpowers.
hmm
So every week we either look at a report. Today, we're going to kind of look at some basic foundational things and talk about some domains or some themes and why we are all unique. So, if you want to add anything to that while I'm grabbing a share, Linda, you're more than welcome to.
I'll just talk a little bit about how you access the Clifton Strengths Assessment. It is an online assessment. It costs around $60, um, plus, some change. And the reason it's online is because they have a computer program that takes all of your responses to the assessment and very quickly puts them all together to show how you are infinitely unique. And so it would be really hard to do all that with a pen and paper or pencil kind of.
It can be done,
Yeah,
but
it could be done, I
it
suppose,
takes a
but
it's a really, really laborious thing to
yeah,
do.
you wouldn't get your assessment results for 6 months
Right.
instantaneously.
Especially if we were doing it,
Yeah.
So
So
to have instantaneous results, yes, it's
that's
best
the
to do it
price
that
we
way.
pay. So
Mhm.
this is through Gallup.com. It used to be called Strengths Finders. A lot of people maybe have taken this through their job, or maybe in a college setting. Um, so we have been working with our mentor, Eddie Villa, who has really revolutionized how to apply this to everything. Uh, your relationships, your health and wellness, your job, of course,
Mhm.
how you feel about yourself, really everything that you do in your
Everything,
life.
yes, yes,
And
everything.
has done a lot to to maximize what Clifton Strengths has already done. And I will mute myself because
Okay. So while she mutes herself, takes care of the dog, I will say that Gallup, I think, is really business focused with the strengths results and how they share them out into the world. Whereas we have learned to really take the strengths to a more personal level, more individual level, a more relationship level,
right.
something that is really useful in everyday life. So we
hmm
kind of really brought it, Eddie has brought it down to
hmm
that personal level, which I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So we've both been trained by Eddie because we love them so much and we feel they're so useful, so helpful, so empowering that everybody should have their strengths report
Absolutely. Yeah.
done. So you can know anytime you know more about yourself, you show up as a better version of yourself at everything that you do. So it's just a tool, and there's a lot of
Right.
tools out there. This is just a tool that we really appreciate.
Mhm.
Um, and I find it helps so many people that we both know personally that their lives have been transformed from this information. So one of the great things that you learn right off the bat is you are unique. You are infinitely unique and you can't be duplicated. So we are all unique individuals. We all have our unique lineup of strengths. We all have unique gifts to offer the world, and there's nobody else on the planet ever or ever will be that has your lineup of strengths. So we all need to really show up and share our gifts with the world. You know, you saw I said should. We should
Yeah.
all.
That's one of your rules.
Exactly. It's one of my roles. So this I really, really love. Comparison is irrelevant, which we all do. It's just something we do. We've grown up comparing ourselves to others.
Right.
So we'll compare ourselves to somebody that we feel is really, really successful and really way better than us, when in reality, that's not fair to them nor fair to ourselves because
Mhm.
they've been on a different journey. They have their own set of tools, they have their own set of superpowers, and they have stepped into them. And, maybe somebody else has not, but comparing ourselves to others is just not something we need to be doing.
Mhm.
So I'm going to skip over to this next one because there's some points here I'd like to bring up. So knowing your strengths has nothing to do with what you cannot do.
Right.
Okay, so you can do everything within your lineup of strengths, your top 10, your superpowers, excuse me, your zone of genius, as I like to refer to those particular top 10. But
Mhm.
knowing your strengths has everything to do with how you do everything your way.
Mhm.
So
And it
that's,
works,
and it works. Yeah.
but only 100% of the time.
So it's all about how we use our strengths our way. So we
Mhm.
can do a lot of things our way. We don't have to really copy somebody else's way.
Right. I mean, you just think of just like such a common example, like lo lots of us are moms. So how are we good moms? We're good moms in our own way. You know,
Hmm.
some moms are all about connecting with their kids, and some moms are about getting things done with their kids. And they're good moms. So you can
Hmm.
like we all do it our own way, and what we share is a love for our children, but how we communicate that love and interact with them depends on who we are
Hmm.
and what they need, as moms.
Right, right.
Try to be flexible.
So I just love the whole concept of doing everything our own personal way. And everybody else is operating from that same premise. They're doing it their own way. And we need to be mindful of that. And we need to remember that
Right.
instead of judging them or condemning somebody for making a different choice, we have to understand that they're operating from their own superpower perspective.
Mhm.
And their mind might work a little bit different. More things are, so different things are important to them than to you.
Right.
But that does not make them wrong.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
So, your top 10 strengths, your zone of genius is where you're the most influential, the most creative, the most productive, where you really connect with others on an authentic level. The word authentic always comes to mind
Hmm.
when I'm talking about strengths because a lot of us, and I did for almost my whole life, were trying to pretend I was somebody else or didn't really know who I was was trying to fit some role or some model that I thought I should be.
Hmm.
Whereas if you really know and understand your strengths, it allows you to be your authentic self, which allows you to be influential, creative, productive, more in connect, a great way of connecting with others,
Hmm.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we don't really talk about the bottom five. Those are not weaknesses. Those are like, what is it, 29, 30 down to 34.
Mhm.
They're just where you're not authentic. It's where you are de energized. It might suck the energy out of you. You might become boring. You might just disconnect from others in your life. So it's just not the best place for you to be. So we just try to make people aware of those so that if they are using some of those strengths, it's
Right.
great to understand so you could kind of let them go and jump back up to your top 10, your zone of genius.
If we're still kind of with our theme of superpowers, that we're all superheroes, the bottom five is our kryptonite.
Yes,
That's
yes, for
that's
sure.
where we become weak,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
we get down in those, and we think that we look at people who have our bottom five high, and we think that we could be in what we call the balcony or the positive of that strength. But in reality, anytime you're using your bottom five, you're in the basement. You're
Mm-hmm.
in kind of the pits of that strength. So you don't have access to the balcony of those bottom strengths. So it's good to be aware of them. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't try to use them to accomplish what you need to accomplish.
And I'm guessing if somebody's operating from a one or two or all of those bottom strengths, they're going to be way more stressed.
Yes.
And things are going to be a lot more difficult for them because they're striving, working hard to
Right.
use these strengths that are de-energizing to them.
And I think they come across to other people as not being authentic,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe kind of like a jerk. Like if I used
Mm-hmm.
my number 34 command a lot, I I just wouldn't feel good about it, and I would feel awkward and makes other people around me feel awkward, and I would beat myself up like, oh, I was telling them what to do, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that's like not how that's not my strength.
And you would probably be exhausted afterward
Yeah, yeah.
because you were forcing it.
When I was working as a mental health therapist, and the thing I hated about my job was when I had to go into a crisis situation, and I worked with adolescents and deal with a crisis situation and take command. Hated it. And now I know why. I mean, I knew
Yeah.
why. I knew it wasn't like that wasn't my personality, but I can put a language to it. Like command is my number 34 strength. And someone who has high command can go into a situation where, you know, at-risk teenagers are rampaging and being violent, and they can take control of that situation, tell
Mm-hmm.
people what to do. Like I sort of freeze in that situation. That caused me a lot of stress.
And it's very easy and natural for them. And they're
Right,
in their element and
right,
they're very confident there and they
right.
can really be helpful to people
Mhm.
because that's in their zone of genius. Whereas for you, it was clunky. I mean, you could do it, but it just
Yeah,
wasn't as beautiful as somebody who
right.
has that high
I
in
was
their.
I was much better like in the small groups, using my harmony and using my input of, teaching and interacting with the kids on a positive note,
Mhm.
like trying to prevent the rampages.
So you were at your best operating from your
Yep,
zone of genius.
yep,
Yeah, I love that. Again, it's just an awareness. The awareness is huge.
yeah.
Even if you don't fully understand all of it, just understanding some of it can be so helpful to everybody. So these are our domains. We're going to talk about each one of these over the next few weeks, and we did want to attribute our our, our slides to Eddie. I just kind of grabbed them and have not taken the time to change them. So thank you, Eddie. We
Mhm.
appreciate what you've put together. So these are the domains that Gallup has. Clifton, Gallup, I kind of use those words
Right,
synonymously,
right.
so they interchanged in my head. But Donald Clifton was probably the first gentleman that put these concepts together. But so these are all of the 34 strengths listed under each of their domain.
Mhm.
Everybody falls into these domains. I mean, it's just based on all their research and, tons of people that they've worked with over the years. We're all similar in this regard that we're going to fall into these domains in some way.
Mhm.
There's always probably going to be a dominant. I can't say the word always, but generally there's one domain that is where your lineup of strengths fall into that like three or more. So if there's
Mhm.
three or more of strengths in any domain, that's a really important domain to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then some people have a secondary domain. So they might have, like I have five in the relationship building domain, and I have three or four in the strategic thinking. So that's my secondary. So that those are like the theme, overreaching umbrella that I can understand and use and apply into everyday situations if I understand these. And I don't necessarily have to know all of my strengths in each one of them, but just knowing my domains is enough to, improve my life
Oh
and how
yeah,
I show up.
definitely. Because I was able to let go of trying to be an influencer,
Mm-hmm.
influencing,
Mm-hmm.
moving groups of people forward is not as important to me as
Yeah.
connecting with people and just kind of connecting with them where they're at. It's because I'm like Teresa, relationship builder 4, strategic thinking 3. And so I do a lot of thinking. I love it. I love learning. I love creating. But a lot of what I do with that, the reason I do it is to share with my tribe, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's my own family, my friends, my church family, people that I'm working with as clients, whoever. So, that I use my strategic thinking a lot to further my connection with people.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. But then connection comes first.
Hmm.
So, and then the thinking and that part. That doesn't mean you don't influence people,
Right.
and it doesn't mean you don't get things done.
Right.
You just do it in a way that honors those connections to
Hmm.
the right people. So I'm going to jump over here and we're going to talk specifically about relationship building today, and then we'll get the other three in upcoming weeks. But so when I learned that I was a high relationship builder and I could talk about it and had some language to put around it, it kind of helped me do things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So all,
Okay.
I have many, many strengths here. And
Hmm.
I realized that I love to be in collaboration. So, like, I
Hmm.
love me and Linda working together
Right.
in this every week. It's
Right.
something that just thrills me. It brings me joy. I'm energized about it. So, I learned that if that is what feeds me, then I need to really be connecting with people all the time, every day, in a way that is uplifting and impactful for me and inspiring to others. But collaboration, partnerships, that's where I do my best. I brainstorm and I'm more creative when I'm working with somebody else. If I'm just doing it on my own, I mean, I'm okay, but it's just not as fun. And I don't get as many ideas as when I'm
Uh-huh.
speaking and talking with somebody. How about you?
I'm more productive
Mm-hmm.
when
Yep.
I'm connecting with people. And
Yes.
I do have a little bit of the productivity strengths, but they're not as they're more kind of things on the inside. Um, they're not ones that give me energy to push me. Connecting with someone, collaborating with someone gives me that energy and
Yes. Yes.
oomph to be productive.
And we can leverage that information. Like I said, now that I know, it's important for me to get with somebody, get into a group, get some interaction every day. I notice if I don't, if I'm here by myself for a day or two, I can just feel my energy drop.
Hmm.
How about you?
Well, I actually like to be alone, so I'm energized by lots of time alone, but to get things done, I do need to connect.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Okay,
can't have
I
kind of
would I would have to agree with that, but I know I have to balance my two, my
right.
people time and my alone time. If I
Mhm.
get too much of one or the other, then
Yeah.
things, like I said, my energy will dip and I'll know I have to go connect with somebody
Uh,
to bring my energy back up. But yet I need my alone time to think and process and
right.
do
Well,
whatever. But if I get too much of that, like I said, if I get too much people time, then it's like
in your
overwhelming
brain,
and I
yeah,
gotta go, I gotta go over to my alone time. So I'm always moving back and forth
having that
between these two.
balance. I'll
Mm-hmm.
use a prime example for me real quick. Our church is creating a website, and I had done one for us years ago, but it was like a real clunky platform that we were trying to use, and it just kind of fell to the wayside. And so I was talking to my husband, who's the pastor, about me working on this website, and he and I talked about it, and it just wasn't happening. So finally, he got together a group of people, and we met at the church and put, things up on the overhead projector thing, and working together, like now I can take what we worked on together
Mm-hmm.
and I can tweak it and present it to the guy who's putting together our website, and it is getting done. So, just a prime example for me of productivity. Like I would have all these ideas, but not producing without
Mm-hmm.
connecting.
Right. And I love that. So you needed that group energy
Ooh,
and the
yeah,
multiple heads, the multiple ideas
right.
to for yourself to be, like I said, more productive and more efficient.
And I
Um,
used to get mad at myself. Like I was like, can't you do any, just get stuff done. Just
mhm.
put your head down and get stuff done. And I put my head down and I think and I read and I gather more information
Mhm.
and I still don't get anything done. But I need my energy, call it accountability or whatever. Like now I don't want to let those people down because they
Right.
invested in this process.
Mhm.
And yeah, so
So yeah, it's a win-win for
yeah,
everybody, I think.
yeah.
And I notice when I'm in a partnership like this, or if I'm brainstorming with somebody or in a mastermind group, or whatever, I get more ideas as I'm talking to people and as I'm hearing what they're saying. And so it starts to spark all these ideas. Whereas if I was sitting by myself, I would probably have less ideas. And again, it wouldn't be as fun, but I will be talking and like boom, 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 these ideas are all going off in my head. But it
Right.
takes that
Like a
dynamic
team.
energy of being in relationship with somebody else
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
it happen.
I get that.
And
Totally.
and again, I had to learn about that.
Yeah.
And I before, I want to watch the time, but before we let go of this relationship building domain, the right people, connecting with the right people is really, really important
Mm-hmm.
for relationship builders.
Mm.
And every person determines who the right people are. There is no definition that encompasses everybody. Like we decide for ourselves as relationship builders who the right people are for us.
Mm-hmm. Someone who has the strength of relator very high, they probably have a much smaller inner circle of right people than, say, someone who has includer high.
Right. That's
So
right.
for me, includer is like number 8 and relators like number 13. So they're both kind of high for me, but
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
husband with relator at 2 and includer down in his bottom, like he has a very small group of people that are his inner circle. And um, I have 5 or 6 best friends. Like they're
Mm-hmm.
all best friends in their own way. So, it just that's just an example of how right people uh
Mm-hmm.
can be different
So
for
we all have to
yeah.
create that definition or have that awareness about who the right people are for us. And of
Mhm.
course, those right people are people who energize us, who are bring a positive element into our lives.
Right.
Because we know people that are hanging with the wrong people,
Yeah.
people that are deterring from their life and from their energy. And, it's just not good.
Mhm.
So if you're not sure who your right people are, that might be something to sit down and think about, have an awareness of who excites you, who do you enjoy hanging out with, who makes you smile, who makes you laugh. Like I'm a very energetic person. When I'm
Right.
in a group, I can kind of tell, oh, I want that person in my friend in
Yeah.
my friend group. No, I don't know. I mean, not that I am judging based on their energy, but I have been proven wrong
Yeah,
multiple times. Like my first impression of somebody
I have
was
too.
changed over time. Like, oh, they're really great people, but they
Yeah,
might have relator high. And so
right.
they're not as energized by other people as I am. They're
Mm-hmm.
still good people and we still
Right,
became friends. But
right.
in the beginning, I'm looking at people's energy and
Mm-hmm.
if they're smiling and they're having fun, that's who I'm attracted to.
Right. Yeah.
But I have to remember and learn that not to dismiss other people. It just takes longer to learn about them and understand them to be able to make that connection.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
So, and it's just trial and error, but it does take some time, I think, to figure it out for yourself.
And one of the amazing things that Teresa and I always talk about is when you and a loved one, be it a friend, spouse, kids, or you and coworkers all take the assessment, and then you find that language, that common ground that you can say, oh, okay, now I know why so and so, who's two desks over, eh, seems so shy or introverted.
Mm-hmm,
They're a high
mm-hmm,
relator. And it de energizes them to try and, have everyone hanging around their desk.
mm-hmm,
And,
mm-hmm,
they just want to be real protective of their energy.
mm-hmm.
So it is so important if when you take it, if you can get your loved ones to take the assessment too and to get coaching. I have to throw that in there because
Yeah, thank
we are
you.
both coaches and I'm not just saying that because, we're got some $1 million coaching program that we want people to be a part of, but we are just so passionate about this. And I know for myself, even as a high strategic thinker, a learner, I took the assessment, I read the book, I underlined and highlighted, and I still didn't understand it. I put
Mm-hmm,
it on a shelf, I filed it in a folder on my computer, and until crossed paths with Eddie, really didn't suss out all the richness
mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
what this assessment can offer. So
Mm-hmm.
just want to encourage people to take advantage of this tool, like Teresa said
Yeah,
earlier.
for
A
sure.
great tool.
It is. And don't get intimidated or overwhelmed by it.
Yeah,
Gallup, when you
a
get
lot
your
of
res
information.
yeah, when you get your results, you're going to have pages and pages and
Yeah.
pages of information from Gallup. All of it is good.
Mhm.
You don't have to take it all in at the same time. You could just learn about one strength and see where it shows up in your life
Right.
and take it baby steps, step by step. But we were just talking, if you don't mind me sharing,
Yeah.
that you're working with a food group, Trim Healthy Mama,
Right.
to help you eat better and
Hmm.
make some changes, dietary changes for you and your husband. And you learned about it and you were clunking around, but you actually needed to hire a coach to help
Yes.
you get started and create some really good healthy habits and get
Yeah.
momentum rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
same thing here.
Yeah.
Like you can
Exactly.
get the information, you can learn on your own, but it's going to go a lot faster and smoother if you have somebody just helping you at least get some momentum, get some understanding of it. And then once you have that, then you can start applying it and leveraging your superpowers in different areas of your life. Or you can be like us and really go down the rabbit hole and just we're learning constantly,
Yeah.
constantly. I mean, every week we're learning new things and new ways of using this and helping people see the benefit of it. So, I mean, then there's that whole spectrum,
Hmm.
in between. But we feel this is really important. It's very transformative for people. It's empowering. It's a useful tool in your life, in your all areas of your life. So that's why we're here every week
Right.
trying to really share our passion and enthusiasm for it and hopefully help all of our viewers understand it a little bit more and maybe see that, oh, yeah, maybe that would be something that would be useful for me. So
Hmm.
that's our whole goal. If
Yep.
you go ahead, Linda, were you going to say something?
No, I just was agreeing with you. Yeah.
And I was going to say, if you take the assessment, reach out to us, leave a comment. We would love to go over your report here
Yeah.
during this time, this half hour we're here. We do that. And we've done that up until the last couple weeks where we looked at a report, dug through the top 10, and just shared our take on it.
You could get some
Um,
free coaching.
yeah, some free coaching for a half hour. So
Yeah.
you let us know. You can get that report over to us, and we'd be happy to highlight and showcase it here.
Yeah. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much, Linda. Appreciate
Yeah.
you as always being here. Thank you, everybody, for listening in. We appreciate you. We know you are infinitely unique. You
Yeah.
have to know that as well. You need to believe that. Sometimes that's the trickiest
Mhm.
part is believing it for yourself. But
Right.
this tool definitely helps. All right, my friends, we will see you the next time.
Yeah. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye.